It's one of the most persistent rumors in Central Oregon. Amelia Earhart, the first woman to fly solo across the Atlantic, who also married former Bend Bulletin owner and mayor of Bend, G.P. Putnam, lived in Bend at one time. Welcome to Central Oregon Mythbusters, everybody. I'm your host, Scott Elnes, and this week we are finally going to put that rumor to the test. So I'm here at the shop to kind of, MacGyver myself a time machine here to take me back to the 20th century so I can confirm or deny whether she actually lived here. But let's get you up to speed first. Right off the bat, there is some evidence that would suggest a tie between Amelia and Central Oregon. As you may recall, last week I told you the story of Dorothy Putnam, who was G.P. Putnam's first wife, who did in fact live in Bend, and helped secure women's right to vote in the early 1900s. Now, both Dorothy and G.P. were heirs to a large fortune, and they came to Bend to help start a new city with endless opportunities. But all good things must come to an end, and eventually G.P. and Dorothy moved back to New York, and Dorothy took up with a 19-year-old sophomore from Yale. Now, G.P. and Dorothy divorced, and G.P. then just dove even deeper into his adventures and his publishing. And those two worlds collided when G.P. helped orchestrate the first female pilot crossing of the Atlantic Ocean, which is when G.P. and Amelia first crossed paths.
It's not an easy, relaxed thing. They're both wary as hell.
G.P. had already dealt with one marriage ending in infidelity, and Amelia had been around the block a few times and had no interest in marriage.
But Putnam decided immediately this is the one. So he manages and orchestrates that first flight. She makes it. Then he proposes to her 6 times in the next year, and she turns him down every time.
But you don't get to be one of the leading publishers in the United States without a little patience
and persistence.
So finally she says, okay. And by this time they are a corporation almost. She's making all these other flights. She's making all these speeches. He's led expeditions to Greenland and Baffin Island so many times in the same city. They're both giving lectures.
Amelia may have agreed to marry G.P., but her views on marriage were, shall we say, far from conventional.
So finally she agrees to get married in his mom's little house. And he's standing in kind of the entryway, and the justice of the peace is up there. And she's writing this note and hands it to him. And he looks at it. And basically it says, in our life together, I shall not hold you to any medieval code of faithfulness, nor will I consider myself similarly bound to you. But they did, in fact, marry. They were married when she was lost at sea in 1937.
Now, Amelia was not just a great pilot. According to her stepson, David, she was one heck of a mother, too.
Loved Amelia. She was the best stepmother that ever came down the pole. I interviewed David a lot, and he just thought the world of Amelia. In fact, he was puppy love, a part of it.
Okay, that's the story. One of the godfathers of Bend meets one of the most famous pilots in history. But did they ever live in Central Oregon? All right, let's fire this thing up. 3, 2, 1. Oh, wait. I got a better idea. All right, so Kelly, executive director of the Deschutes Historical Museum, if anybody would know the answer to whether Amelia Earhart lived here, it'd be you. What's your answer?
She never lived here.
But I heard that...
No.
But...
No.
A friend of mine...
Out.
All right.
No!
For Central Oregon Daily News, I'm Scott Elnes.